So anyway, that's.
Thank you for that. Was so rich.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Good. And rubber band harp. So this is some of my instruments. This is the original stick. Yeah. This one. And you use, here, this one, you got a really big rubber band. And then you go like this. Now, this is if you have a sycamore tree in front of your house, of course.
I love that.
Now, what's interesting is the longer and looser the rubber band, the more you see those vibrations. Can you see that?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Wow. And then if you put a smaller rubber band on, it will be different. Wait a minute. This is much tauter, and the sound will be higher.
Mm-hmm.
They're different sounds because what the side that's toward me is more taut.
Mm-hmm.
That one is looser. So you can get miles out of it. And that brings me to rubber band guitar. This is a rubber. You need a cigar box for this.
Okay.
A shoebox doesn't work because when you stretch elastic bands over, the sides of the cardboard box will implode.
I bet they exactly.
So you put on a bunch of rubber bands, and any you can put one on, and then I've been working on the railroad. And then you can tune it. You can make it taut in the front, so you make it. You pull it so that you've got more in the back. Bum, bum, bum. And then you can tune it and make it looser in the front. Bum, bum, bum.
Kids would eat it up.
This is a really good 6-year-old birthday party activity. You go to a cigar store and ask them for their cigar boxes, and you say, I need these for children with special needs, and they'll give them to you. Or you can, every child has special needs. So,
well, and I think that's something. I was just talking to someone yesterday. I had gone into a thrift shop, and the owner, when I told her I was an educator and all the things I was buying would be donated to a school, she gave me things.
Yeah.
People want to support education.
That's right, and especially when it's junk that they're getting rid of. Okay. The challenge in today's society is too much screen time, and we all are together on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the real world is a lot more interesting, I think. I'm very negative about video games, and I don't care if research shows that eye-hand coordination is improved. You can do eye-hand coordination activities in other ways. And get
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So I don't need to preach that. So what you want to do, though, is be purposeful in offering our kids things that have affordances. That's what the loose parts theory is. You're giving kids things that you can do stuff with.
Yeah.
So this, I love this sequence, these two pictures. I took them in 2005. Remember when televisions were this size? We needed that.
Yes.
This little boy had loaded this TV carton with all kinds of things he could find to make it heavy.
Mm.
Notice this. Children want the weight. Sally mentioned it before. Kids love weight. So let them do it. We want things easy and light. They want things heavy and hard. So he got here to the edge of a mulched area, and there was a railroad timber here, and he was stuck. And I knew how to get that TV box over that railroad timber, but I showed restraint and I let him figure it out. He had to ideate. I want to get this carton over that obstacle. How am I going to plan it? This is what I'm going to do, and now I'm going to do it. That was praxis. Okay, and he did it. And look how, see down here how heavy it is. He's really digging into the mulch as he's pulling it. Hard, hard, satisfying work. So give things. I think cartons are fabulous, and boxes are wonderful. Little boxes like this, little jewelry boxes, this is a little box of stationery, and they're just interesting, and not just to make a robot out of your boxes, but just see what kids do with it. Okay, here's a challenge. Children with vestibular issues are fearful of moving. They will come up with a lot of excuses. By the way, excuses from kids with SPD are so creative. One little girl who was a picky eater because of tactile issues in her mouth would say things like, "I'm allergic to saltines." Or, "My mother told me never to eat applesauce." Or,
I've heard that.
And you don't dispute maybe there's a medical issue with saltines. Maybe applesauce is forbidden in that family's religion. You respect words like that, but it was really a cover-up for, I don't want to eat this and I don't want you to keep nagging me. So I'm going to give you a reason that I found is satisfactory for you silly grown-ups. Okay, so the kids who have the fear of moving, it's okay, I'm just going to rest for a little while. That's one that you'll hear. So here are some things to get kids moving and balancing. It's actually balancing that might be the issue because their vestibular system is not working so well, so they fall down a lot, and so they're very cautious. All right, so this is a railroad timber or just a big board that's embedded flush in the ground. So start flat. This may be too much. Maybe just get your masking tape and make a row of that on the floor. Or I would take flour, a bowl of flour outside, and make lines in the grass on the playground, and that was enough. And that's enough of a challenge for some kids to walk on a line like that. And it's very fun. So start low. It's still fun. And this is not just for the kid with SPD. This is for the typical child too. It's very interesting to walk on a line. Then you raise it when you feel the child has a little more confidence. You raise it. This is a cute idea. This is a gutter. And the children were using it on a hillside to send balls down, and someone came up with the idea to walk on it.
That's great.
Cool? And then it's build it and they will come, right?
It's true. I think obstacle courses are so fun. I would do that, set up this obstacle course and act like we're going on a bear hunt, or, we got to get through the woods. Oh no, or like.
It's wonderful. I love obstacle courses. So a solution for kids who are fearful of moving is use what you've got and don't push. Lead or bring the child to the table, bring the child to the object, but never force a child. And one idea is if the child says, no, I don't want to do that, whatever that is. It's Tuesday, and the child says, no, try it again on Thursday. Because sometimes the kid has to go home and kind of think about it. And so it's like with food. Of course the child's going to say no to broccoli. So you don't force it, but you put it on the table. and then you put a tiny little piece on the plate. And then next week, you'll ask the child to touch it. And gradually you ask him to bring it to his mouth and kiss it.
Mm.
And, incrementally for some kids who want to do these things and will, but not all at once.
Well, it reminds me too of children in trauma need preview. So you preview what's going to happen, or you tell the story of what's going to happen, maybe for 5 days, so they can really prepare themselves and not be in survival about the change,
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which brings me to another thought, Sally. Children with sensory issues are often abused. And their parents are not aware of differences
got you. That makes sense.
So easy not to be aware of processing disorders.
Oh my gosh.
And so the kid is refusing to eat or refusing to get rest or resistant. And so you flood him, right? If you don't have other resources. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Horrifyingly.
Horrifyingly, yes, right. All right, so Jump Land, here's a little activity of, it's again so simple, just have the child get on the first step and see how far she can jump. Oh, wow, look how far you can jump. I'm going to put a marker right there where you jumped, or a leaf. A leaf is probably better. Can you jump further? I'll bet you can jump, very friendly. And then, or you could put a, if it's dirt, you can put a mark in the. Right. I don't want you to use something like this, which could pop up, and you want something that if the child jumps on it, it's going to be safe. But Jump Land is just this activity of seeing how far you can get and climbing up those steps again. I had to show you these pictures. This is a large piece of plywood. So at this nursery school, I was the movement and music teacher, and also I ran the playground. And so I would build obstacle courses every day. And there was this piece of plywood that was there for 20 years. And it went everywhere, all over the playground. And these little girls, this was open house day in May when the children's families came. So it was a Sunday, and these children were dressed up. The kids don't dress this way at school.
Right.
The little girl said to her big sister, I want to show you my favoriteest thing to do at school. And it was balancing back and forth on this big piece of plywood. Yeah, it's resting on a railroad timber. So it would go down and then flatten and then go down. Back,
I love that.
back and forth and back and forth and back. Another permutation of this piece of plywood. This is a winter scene. This boy was very quiet and kind of a loner. Mm-hmm. He needed his jumping to get ready to join in with the other children. So here it's on a loose railroad timber again at the bottom of the playground, and it's resting on one edge. And he gets on it and he goes boing, boing, boing. Often he would boing it right off and it would fall to the ground with a jolt.
Yes.
And then he would figure out how to haul it back up onto the pole. So he was getting this nice workout, and this is called, this jumping up and down is called oscillation, this calming, organizing motion. He knew what he needed. Mm-hmm. And after a few minutes of that, then he could join in the group. And he had the permission to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, right now where you are, put your hands on your chair, seat of the chair, or if you have arms, you can do that. And raise yourself up, get your butt off your seat, and go up and down a few times. So this is getting input into your shoulder girdle, your arms, your back, your abs are actually involved in this too.
Yeah, I was thinking this would probably be good to do several times a day.
Exactly. And when you don't know what to do, when the kids are all over the place and can't calm down, just do something physical like this. Do you feel a little tingly now in your shoulders? Good. That's right. That's a good thing to do. Large muscle play like that, getting the large muscles, the biceps, the body, big body muscles, is preparation for fine motor skills. So before writing or even eating or anything that requires concentrated small work, do large work first.
Well, and you could sing songs while doing this, you know? Yeah, this is great.
Definitely could. Mary had a little
lamb. Little lamb.
Yeah. Great. Okay, here's arm circles. So arm circles. Back up a little bit. So make arm circles out to the side, and then go in the opposite direction. Good. Now move your arms backwards, so you're really stretching across here. And now do arm circles back there. And if you sit at a computer all day, this is going to feel good. Go in the opposite direction.
Nice.
Not nice? Okay, now go overhead. Arm circles. Now adjust your wrists. Again, this is really great if you aren't using a keyboard all day.
Yeah.
Good. Now, while we're up here, point your index fingers.
Okay.
Okay. And don't look up. Do look down.
Okay.
And bring your index fingers overhead so they touch. And they may not touch the first time. Open and close, and do it until you get that proprioception that tells you where your body parts are.
Nice.
Yeah. And I always get it. I'm always off, but then I can readjust.
Yeah.
It's a little proprioception thing. Okay.
Oh.
So that was two things. One was just the movement of arm circles is restorative and pleasant. And the other is that idea of getting your fingertips to touch, because we don't always know where our body is.
And again, you know, for kids, and I hate to say this, in kindergarten, who have to sit all day at their desk, you know, wildly in the US at least, you know, kindergarten's like first grade. This would be really good for them.
Sure. Oh, sure. Every 10 minutes, children should be given an opportunity to stretch and move. They can go to the wall and push on the wall. And with little kids, you could say, oh, the wall's falling down. Let's press it with all our might. And you get this whole team spirit of everybody trying to hold the wall up. And that's fun. But or just go to the wall and push different body parts, your shoulders and your butt. Get on the floor, push your feet on. And again, don't tell the children what to do. Ask them, what body part should we press on the wall now? And they'll even press their heads, and they won't hurt their heads. So let them do that. They might, if they suggest let's press our noses and it hurts, don't do it. They have to
find out.
They have to come. All right. Bus driver. I'll just tell you about this. This is a bicycle inner tube. And you put two people playing this game. So one person is the bus driver in the front with a steering wheel.
I love it.
And then the passengers in the back. And then this needs a lot of space. So this is good to do outside. So the bus driver is driving along, vroom, vroom, vroom. But meanwhile, this happens every time. The passenger is driving the bus because he's in the back and he's manipulating the direction and everything like that. So,
yes.
So it's so interesting. They'll have children take turns. You can get 3 people into an inner tube, and then they go in 3 different directions and everybody falls down, and it's, wow. You're going to half hitch 2 of them together, and you got a huge, huge figure 8, and you're reeling. And so I go to the bike store, and they save them for me there. They would throw these out otherwise.
Oh my God. I love upcycling. Oh my gosh.
Okay. So you go to the bike store and you say, I need these to play bus driver with my young children. And the bike store, they see me coming, and they have a bag waiting for me every time I go in there, because they love it. They clean up their trash bin.
Yeah.
And then you can do things like with an inner tube, like, with older kids, you could say, make a triangle, or again, ask them, what shape can you make?
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, that's smarter. Don't say, make a triangle. Say, what shape can you make?
Yeah.
And then they'll do it first. Some of them won't have the intention. They'll just do something, and then they'll look at it, and then they'll tell you, oh, it's a triangle. And then they know triangle.
Experientially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Here's what, I don't know if you can see this right now. There's a little hole here.
Okay.
And this was where the valve was. And you just cut it out with the scissors and wash them. And that's the prep. Nothing to it.
Perfect.
Okay. I challenge, while SPD is primarily tactile and movement of the body parts, movement through space, and things touching. While it is primarily a tactile, vestibular, and proprioceptive disorder, of course, the other senses are involved too, and visual and auditory issues are common. If a child just has a visual dysfunction, you would not say he has SPD. If he has a visual problem. If he has SPD, chances are very good that he also has visual and auditory problems. Okay, so so you're going to see with kids that they're not good at things like, where's Waldo? Mm-hmm. Or looking at the basket of shells and pine cones. They might not be able to discern the differences among all those natural objects, and they might need a little help. They might not be able to get their numbers in a row on a page. The numbers might be wavering all over the place, or their handwriting is bad, or they write off the page, or they can't play ball because they don't have good depth perception, and the ball hits them in the head instead of something they can catch. Okay, so and because children are using screens so much, more and more optometrists, who are like occupational therapists for eyes, optometrists are telling me that they're seeing scads more kids with myopia. And this is an old person's problem.
Wow.
Myopia is nearsightedness. It's because our kids are 2 feet from a screen for hours every day. And it is going outside and looking at the horizon is harder for them. And let's go back to what nature intended. Mm-hmm. A screen or the horizon. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I worry greatly that our kids coming up now won't be able to defend themselves. They won't see what's coming at them. They won't have the time to get out of the street or duck, But again, I know I'm preaching to the choir.
It's scary. It really is. And yeah.
Yeah. Outside is best. All right. So poor visual discrimination. So here are 2 quick little activities. One is you get a bunch of people and they stand up, and one person looks at the people and groups them and doesn't say what the group is. So it can be 2 groups, 3 groups. And usually it starts out being something like eyeglasses. So this group has glasses, this group doesn't, or skirts, or it's clothing, and that's fine. The sorter, though, has to keep it a secret, because then the people who have been sorted need to guess how they were sorted, and then they take turns. Different people get to be the sorter, and it's a very quiet, very interesting game. And then you can do it with objects. So this is I just put a bunch of things from my desk on the floor and took a picture of them. This is everything. This is spoons and napkins and telephones and eyeglasses and pens, anything you've got in your purse or your pockets. Put it on the table, and then the sorter or the classifier makes decisions. And often it's things like shape, might be color, might be material. Is it metal or is it fabric? It might be purpose, the function, like you might have pens and, I don't know, eyeglasses. So it's very interesting. And again, it's a secret. Mm-hmm. So the other people need to say what it is. And that is so engaging. You could do that for a long, long time, because other people say, wait, I want to do it a different way. And of course, then it's their opportunity to sort a different way.
And I've done the people classification, and you're right. With kindergartners, 4-year-olds, they never tire of it.
No.
Never. And it's so fascinating sometimes they're all trying to figure out now, how are they sorted?
Oh.
And then, oh my goodness,
I know.
They all are wearing buttons. I didn't know it.
I know. And so then children are quite pleased with their observational skills. Yeah. So this is helping discriminate and just be more aware of the purpose of objects. And it's a team's, it's a game. A lot of kids with sensory issues are not good game players. They get anxious. They are uncomfortable if they don't win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm almost at the end here. I know I have to move along. Okay. This is my grandson, Isaac.
Oh.
I had to get him in here. A lot of times children with SPD have loose and floppy bodies. Make it worse. We containerize them. We keep them in their baby seats. We keep them in their first grade chairs. We say, okay, before dinner, you can play with your telephone video game. We encourage sedentary activities, and that makes the bodies looser and floppier. So for little kids, tummy time, tummy time, tummy time. And for those of you who have infants whose doctors are saying, don't let your baby sleep on his tummy, as soon as a baby is old enough to be able to move his head, he's not going to leave his nose in the sheet. He's going to move head out of the sheet. So you don't need to have a baby on his back for a long time. As soon as he can lift his head, you can put him on his tummy. And he's got to be on the floor. And the kids who don't like being on the floor, got to be on the floor.
Important.
So even if it's just a minute, it's very important. And stretch
I had I taught first grade 1 year, and I had a little girl who just was absolutely unglued about writing at her desk. And, we went on for probably 4 or 5 weeks with this. And then honestly, your work came through, I was like, I wonder if I gave her a clip, a board, and put her work on that and had her lay on the floor. And it was magic.
Wow.
Like she just needed to lay on the floor and she couldn't, she was not an athletic girl, and, she was still very, very floppy,
So she needed that physical, the tactile contact.
And her parents were blown away because they had struggled so much at home with her, that they didn't realize that she had this need,
Yeah, that's great, great. Or being on sitting on a therapy ball. This is a therapy ball.
Yes.
I know you can't see it while I sit on it, but bouncing on the therapy ball is actually organizing. So
wow.
It's counterproductive that we would give a child something active and squishy when he's already squishy and all over the place, but it actually helps the child get organized. So that would help. Another thing to do with kids who have who are weak at writing at a table, it could be because of sitting is so hard. You could have them write at the wall, just newspaper or cheap newsprint. Just tape a little bit to the wall and give the kids crayons, not markers. Anybody can be successful with a marker. You need to exert some oomph to make the color satisfying with the crayon. No, let me correct that. Anything you draw with a crayon is pretty. I mean, a pastel crayon mark is pretty too. But if you want a deeper color, you have to exert force.
Yes.
And for kids, they're not learning that because they're not playing outside enough. So put the markers away and just use crayons. And you know what? If you're in a classroom, you're going to find kids who will complain. It's too hard work to use crayons. And so what we do is we give them crayons.
Yeah.
Right? Life is an obstacle. Life is an obstacle course. And when we make it easy for our kids, we're making it harder for them as adults. So have to let them
quotable.
struggle.
That's, as Oprah would say, that's a tweetable.
The easier we make it for children now, the harder we make it for them when they're adults. So, and just remember, in the olden days, everyone was out there hunting for food. And you were rewarded for how many ears of corn you brought home, not what score you got on a video game.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Carol's preaching. Okay. Okay. Here's Hold Up the Wall. These kids have just come inside off the playground and they're pressing their shoulders against the wall. These kids, I was showing these darling teachers, and they came to a workshop and we did people sandwich. You lie down on your tummy with your head extended as their heads are in their arms. And you lie on a mat, and the sandwich maker comes along and spreads mayonnaise and smears mustard and puts chopped onions up and down from your neck all the way down, and choppity, and it feels so good to get this really strong tactile input, not feathery, not touchy-feely, soft, feely. Yeah. And then you take the other half of the mat and you slap it on top of the person, and there's the people sandwich. But always it happens that you have put too much mustard on. You have to squish it out. So you squish and the harder you squish, the more beautiful it is when you are the turkey or the ham inside the sandwich.
Oh my goodness.
So these teachers did this with their children. This is a class of children with learning disabilities. The kids loved it so much, they put the teachers in the mat and they made the sandwich, and then they came in. So here they are squishing the mayonnaise out of there. So deep pressure. If we can do it ourselves by holding up the wall, that's great. If we can have somebody do it for us, that's great. Deep pressure is very good for stimulating the sensory awareness of our muscles and joints. And you can do hold up the wall anywhere.
Yeah.
So here's a solution for kids with low stamina. Give them hard work. It's called heavy work activity. Hard work. Don't make it easy, and don't take it away if they're seeking it. So I mean, this is all spontaneous, these 3 pictures of this little girl said, climb on. She wanted the weight. And we make it easy when we should let it be hard. Okay, so here, go on a marker holiday, use crayons. This is listen and draw. Put that red up on the wall and put on music, jazzy music or classical music, and let the child just draw what the music tells them to draw. And you'll, nice expression will come through the pen. Okay, here's a challenge. Kids who sit in unusual ways. This little girl just kind of imploded. She couldn't sit. This little girl is in what's called the W position. See how her knees are together, her ankles are out. This is very, very bad for the structure, child's skeletal structure. Hips, knees, all that is get out of whack. We must discourage this.
Okay.
Why does a child sit like this? It's for support. The wider the base, the more support the child feels. These kids, if they cross their legs like this, would probably roll over. So they're looking for a wider base. So a solution for that is these children here are sitting on something called a tea stool. Here's my tea stool.
Oh, wow.
Shaped like a T.
Yeah.
And this is about 14 inches. The kid sits on it, and look at them in the picture. You can see them in the picture, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can, once a kid is sitting on a tea stool, you've got his attention. This is a magic tool. You'll get 150% attention from kids sitting on tea stools. And you think, how can that be when they're on? Well, it's like they find their center, so they're not tipping off, and it's like they're zipped up. They sit up taller. They're all ready. It's amazing. I didn't have enough tea stools in this particular class, so this little boy sitting on a therapy ball. Same idea, wiggly. And you think, why would I put a wiggler on a wiggly seat? Just try it. Just try it.
I have never seen a tea stool. This is amazing.
You can buy them. They are commercial. $40, $50 maybe. This is made out of a 2x4. So the height should be appropriate for a child to sit with right angles. So ankles and knees and hips are all at right angles. You don't want it's so tall that a child's toes are on the ground, but not his heels.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. So a 3-year-old generally would have a 12-inch height, and a 4-year-old a 14-inch height, but it's really rule of thumb. So a 2x4 and 2 wood screws are all you need at the top, and they last forever.
I have a feeling there's going to be some tea stools being made.
Yes. What else have I got here for you? Okay, for the kid who can't sit, and it's can't. It's not won't.
Right.
It's can't. With our goggles on, we can understand that child doesn't know his body. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know if his right buttock is still on the chair or what. So this is a picture of a child who's wedged inside his teacher's legs as like a harbor, and she's squeezing him, giving him deep pressure, and it's very calming for him. Mm. This little boy has chosen this metal tin was used for playground buckets and things. he took all the toys out and wedged himself into it.
Mm.
And here, this is just like a standard LL Bean campfire seat. All right, finally, this is my last one. If there, we're talking about the too much kid, and the too much kid sometimes just needs to get away from it all. And so it's a lovely thing to have some solitude. I tend to, as a teacher and a grandmother, I tend to want the kids to be in the thick of things all the time, but that's not realistic, and it's not fair to the child. There are times when the child just needs to be alone. So here, this little girl has found a log to climb through. Are there going to be bugs in there and cobwebs and old, soggy, messy leaves? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yay! Yes.
Yeah. Yay. Here, this is an older kid, I think, judging from the size. This child's just taken all the couch cushions and has closed herself up in it. It's fine. It's fine. Sometimes time in is, it can be a refrigerator box, just a place where a child goes with permission or not, but just goes off and has a little quiet time to kind of absorb all the lessons of the day.
Mm.
I could go on and on, but our time is probably way up. So, okay.
Just tell you, that was out of the park. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
So packed full of goodness.
Great.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Well, share it and have fun and go outside and get sensory.
Yes. Thank you.